Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Koki Creative. My name's Elena and I'm a part of the EA Creator Network. Today we're doing a speed build and this is my first build using the Adventure Awaits expansion pack. Camps are a new thing that come with this pack along with retreats and getaways and all that stuff. So the first build I decided to do was a summer camp. It just felt like the first one I was drawn to and I had to give it a try. So first, after I made sure I had room for the heart of the camp, which is the campfire, I moved on to the kids' cabins. There are 3 and there are 2 sets of bunk beds in each. So it sleeps 12, but really you can only have up to 8 campers. I didn't know that at the time, but it's better to have more beds than too few. So I first just make the shape of them and then I copy and paste a lot since I figured all of these cabins would be essentially the same. So that did speed up this process a ton. And each one has their own bathroom, which is very convenient for gameplay. I really wanted to think about gameplay first while building this because I wanted to play in this also. I mean, all my builds I like to play in, but I could easily see myself going overboard with a build this size. And if I go overboard, it does make it a little bit laggy and not as much fun to play in. So this build, even though it's on a 50 by 50 lot, isn't actually that big. It's deceptively small. Usually I'm building like a pretty big house that's all connected on a lot this size. Pretty much the landscaping was the thing that took the most time, but once I get in that landscaping zone, it doesn't take that long. I first make the shape. Sorry, I have to go back to the cabins. I'm sorry. They just get built so quickly. I wanted to have each one have its own color scheme. So this one that I'm working on right now, putting windows on, that's the blue cabin. The one in the middle is the yellow, and the one at the end near the beach in the water is the red cabin. I decided to do this because I thought it'd be kind of cute, and I like the idea of a kid going to camp for the first time, and they don't want to get lost. They know they're the blue cabin, so they walk up to the blue cabin. I even put the lighting on the outside of the porch, the color of the cabin. I'll show that later in the video, but I just wanted each one to have its own little personality. The cabins themselves, pretty small. Like I said, there is a bathroom attached. And I love being able to do something like this where I make a copy, like 3 individual, because that speeds along everything. All I have to do is repeat the same items, maybe in a different swatch 3 times. It's much faster. If you're a builder, you know what I'm talking about, like doing apartments that have the same layout. It really, really speed things up. So now I'm trying to figure out the layout of the camp. I go to, this is the mess hall / like arts and crafts area. There is also a butterfly terrarium in this little glass room. And then there's the arts and crafts room. So let me tell you, before I started building this, I did make a rough draft on a piece of paper of just kind of what I wanted to do. Once I got on this lot, I decided to actually flip it because the natural landscaping. So if you download this and you place it on a different lot, it might look a little different because it's a 50 by 50 lot, but it is a water lot. So you have to take into account that it has a pier and it's going to look different. So let me put a pin in that while I talk about this, the new jungle gym feature. So you can now put jungle gyms together and it can fit to the space, which is so great if you're a builder. Even if you're not a builder, it's so much fun. They make it pretty easy. I tried editing out a little bit here because I was not only just messing around with how everything clips together with the new jungle gym, but I was also looking through the new Adventure Awaits debug, and it's always fun to do that. They have some good debug items. I still haven't sifted through everything yet. There's so much to go through. So if you notice a lot of clipping out of this, it's just because it's like me scrolling through the catalog for 5 minutes straight, just pulling out different items to look at them that have nothing to do with a summer camp. So this is the counselor's house, or like the owner's cabin. This is where the counselors sleep. There's their own kitchen in there. Although when I play, all the kids like to go in that house. You can probably lock the front door so that doesn't happen, but I am too lazy to do that, even though I think I have sent my kids to summer camp here at least 3 times. Yes, I have been playing the new pack. It is fun. I'll talk more about that the more I get into this. It's just so funny how quickly I usually make the shells. So I'm always trying to like speed run the beginning and say as much as I can about this build because I just whip through it. Especially since I did build also a rough draft, quote, of this build, and then bulldozed it and then rebuilt it to record. This is about as far as I got with my rough draft build. I do that because it makes editing a lot easier, but the downfall of that is I'm trying to catch up everything that I want to say. I do use a lot of the new windows, but I also have to go to my tried and true base game. I am only using the new pack and base game for this build because that's always what I have to do. You know, when a new pack comes out, I have to see what the potential is. Whenever I like open up to other packs to mix and match, I tend to go to some of my old favorites and I need to try to prevent myself from doing that. Now I do, I have to say something about these roofs. I did not notice a lot of these swatches were really like tint related. So this is like a canvas roof here. I did not notice that at the time, but they do switch to tin before I upload them to the gallery. Yeah, so that's something that happens a lot when I get a new pack. I misunderstand what a swatch is or what an item is. Like, I can give you a good example of this. There is this wood panel flooring that comes with City Living that I love. I use it all the time until I realize it's technically like a basketball court wood panel floor. And then it kind of like, I haven't really used it much since I realized that because I know what that looks like in real life. And I'm like, oh, that's like super varnished and not really what I was going for. So that's a good example of something that I didn't realize what it actually was until I read the description. I sometimes just go on vibes, you know, and just like look at the item and see how it feels. As far as like, going back to roofing. As far as roofing goes, I didn't do anything too unique or special here, except for like what I did with these little porches here. It's pretty easy to do. If you hold down Shift and you drag out the little arrow to extend, I don't know what it's called, like the extend the roof, but without extending the actual roof part itself. Oh my gosh, you know what I mean. Just like the shingles and all of that. You can hold down Shift and it only drags out one side. There's plenty of tutorials out there. So if you are new to building and that blew your mind and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I encourage and urge you to, you can go on any social media platform or Google it. There are so many good commands. I will even make my whole like video one day, but there are so many good tutorials out there. That's why I have it. Oh, another good example of me using the wrong swatch and the wrong situation. So I do change these wood floors later. I just was so excited for a new wood floor swatch, even though we have 1,000. I just was like, ooh, got to use these. And I did not realize that they're like porch floors kind of, and they have like a lot of space in between, which I do like, and I will be using them, but I only use them for the exteriors. This is a cute little sitting nook that I made in the craft area. I went with the same colors as those paddles. I also used a bit of red in there because if we're going like nautical colors, I just felt like kid and nautical colors, that made sense. That's also the color theme of the camp, since it's the red cabin, blue cabin, yellow cabin. You get it. It also is the same colors as an archery board. Sorry, what am I trying to say? An archery bullet. Oh gosh, sorry. You know what I'm talking about. Just, it's the same color as the archery thing. Sorry, my mind is blanking right now, but let's keep going. So I thought sizing up that rug, so cute. That's a base game rug, but it's the Ladybug swatch, and I just wanted this room to be good for a rainy day. I accidentally sent my kids to camp during the dead of winter. When I like just got this pack and I went into my like legacy family, and it was winter, but they live in San Sequoia. So it doesn't, that's sort of like summer year round there. So I sent them off to camp, and I made sure I turn off all of the swimming activities so they wouldn't freeze to death. But I ended up using this room a lot, and I worked on their skills. I worked on their aspirations, and they made friends. I played around with the new imaginary friends while they were at camp. It gave me some distractions. So I do have in that save 3 kids, and I sent 3 of the kids off to camp at the same time, one of which was a teenager. So I had her be a counselor and got to see what that was like. And so you can customize your schedule however you like. You can set through like a few presets and then edit from there, which is what I did. And the counselors and the kids can have their own activities or own like things that they have to do. And you go through the day and it doesn't force you to do it. It's like if you have get to work, it's very similar to that, except it doesn't say check off you did it. It just sort of encourages you to do those activities. So at the end of camp or the getaway, it tells you if you successfully did those activities. What I do like about that is sometimes my Sims are like starving and I just do not have time for the activity. I need to go eat. It's totally fine. But it does kind of take the overall grading of how well you did. And so far I wasn't like too strict and I still did a good job. Got like the achievement or whatever you need to do. It's good. I do wish it was a little bit more clear if I'm successfully doing the activity. I haven't played in a couple days, so I can't remember exactly if it's like super clear while you're doing the activity, if anything like plus sign goes above your head. Like when you're doing a club activity with get together, it kind of gives you an indication of like, oh yes, good. Like they have a little green thumbs up next to the activity. All right, let me talk a bit more about the build that I'm doing right now. I'm putting trees down and I really wanted this to feel wooded, but I did not want to be too distracting for the player. So the nice thing about this, well, the trees usually disappear if you get pretty close, so that is very nice. I'm not using debug trees. When it's this case, I kind of try to avoid using debug trees because they can be like, they can just be weird. You know, they just, I don't know. And sometimes Sims don't like the way they look. I don't know if that's, I don't know why all the time, but sometimes debug items do that. And then I skip ahead just a little bit, mostly because I was building this like late in the night and decided to not record and just kind of work on stuff. And I got a lot further than I realized. So then I started recording again. So I made this flagpole you might have saw earlier. Later, I did find a debug flagpole in the base game menu that I could have used, but it was kind of fun to try something new. So yeah, I used the 9 key to put that little roof detail flag on top of a column that I raised up. You can do that with the arrow. Just raised it up, made a little flagpole out of it. If you don't like it, just delete it. It doesn't get in the way. Also, I did play test everything. I did have to put stairs, dang it, on the circle. I really didn't want to put stairs, but for some reason, I think it's because this is a water lot. I could not lower that platform any lower, so the Sims, like, it was just one step too many. So I did add stairs, and I tried to make it look intentional. I do that at the end when I play test. I always play test, and sometimes I do miss things, so I do apologize, but most of the time I don't. If you ever have an issue with one of my builds, please let me know, /comment on the gallery what it is on the build itself, and then I can tell you a hot fix, because let me tell you, after doing this for so many years, I am a hot fix queen. Okay, maybe not, like, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have just had to endure a lot of fixes, and somehow I managed. Anyway, I don't know what I'm on about. It's like early in the morning, and I was like, oh, I can get this done, and I'm still a little tired. My tea's kicking in, though, which is nice. So these cute little rocks that I'm using, they are a reward. I think it was from the Nature is Calling event that happened a couple months ago, the summer of 2025. And so here's the thing I like and dislike about the event stuff. I love earning these new items, but I had someone comment saying, oh, well, I have the new pack and base game, but it says I'm missing like 11 items or so many items. And I'm pretty sure it's the event rewards. So the pillows that I use are event rewards. I use a lot of like, there's a telephone that I use that's event rewards. Or I said that already. But there's like a handful of things that I got, including those rocks. So if you download this and you have the packs, but it says you're missing items, most likely it is going to be that. And I do apologize, but if you download it, none of the things are essential. They are just decorative. But it is a bummer. I kind of wish that like, I like that you can unlock them during the events, but I wish there was a way that like, what if you bought the game now and then I don't have all those items? Like, how am I supposed to get those? I am someone who is a completist or whatever. I just like, when I like something, I want to have the whole freaking collection, and it bugs me if I can't. Okay. So it'd be like, how do I get access to those items? So I wonder if they're ever going to have like a workaround with that. And I really hope it's not behind some sort of like a paywall or something. It should, I don't know. After the event, they should be like unlocked forever. I don't know what to do. What do you guys think about the events? I like them, but I just told you what I thought of them. I don't need to tell you anymore. You get it. So anyway, I go into debug. And again, I say I was looking through debug this whole time, but I found some really pretty new flowers. The thing about these yellow flowers is they look a lot like the ones that come from Romantic Garden. And that sometimes that bugs me when a PAX debug will have the same item as another PAX like item that you paid for kind of thing. I don't. Well, if you get Romantic Garden, you actually get like all the swatches and a legitimate, it's not just like, yeah. What do you think about that too? So what I was trying to do with that log was I tried to put a chair in it so your sim might sit down. The thing is, I did not play test that. I totally forgot. And so if your sim is somehow sitting on that log, I would try to do that. And if your sim cannot sit on that log, that's totally fine. You can delete that debug log. I just thought it looked kind of cool. So as I move along, I am doing I didn't really focus on one area at a time with landscaping. I kind of just, I would go up, look at the whole thing as a whole. And I kind of felt where I needed to fill in a bit more. And I needed to like, rearrange with landscaping. That's kind of how I like to do. Like I look at it as a whole and then go down and work on it in little bits. I'm sure that's what everyone does. I don't know. So this is the mess hall. That there's also a lot of crafts in here that you can do. I just decorated the walls like with like just crafty things. It's not huge. I did not have a ton of space, even though this lot is not like small. I want to go back to a thought that I did not finish earlier because I started talking about jungle gyms. But if you download this and put it on a different 50 by 50 lot, yes, it will look different. And not just because of the water, but because I did not use terrain paint along the water. There is just natural terrain paint there that kind of looks sandy and rocky. So I didn't do anything to replace all of this. So as you see along the water, it kind of has that like sandy, rocky look. So I did not put terrain paint there. The lot that I built this on, though, is called Camp Gibby Gibby. So if you want it to look exactly as it does right here, replace Camp Gibby Gibby with this lot. Oh, okay, by the way, this is the archery area, and I did put an outhouse there. This outhouse is, yes, it's from an event reward. So if you don't have that, you can also replace it with one of the base game bathrooms, like the outdoor little bathroom things, if you know what I'm talking about, or just build a little bathroom there. But I just thought that was a nice spot for like an outdoor restroom for all the outdoor activities. But so what I also wanted to say, if you download this and you want to put it on a different lot, it could be good because then it leaves you a whole bunch of space. And let's say you have another pack, something like Horse Ranch, and you want to put horse activities on that little area there, or something like that to replace where the water was. That could be fun. So I have something to complain about. In the activities for getaways. So when you make a getaway, you know, you can go through the list of things and add your activities you want to add. You can't add horseback riding. What is that? I wanted to make a horseback riding camp and there was no horseback riding. But there was horse play activities. So like your horse can play with a ball and that's encouraged, but I don't know. Who do I talk to? No, I really want to make a horseback riding camp. I might anyway, but whatever. So this is the inside of the counselor's house, and I put one double bed because I kind of imagined like maybe a couple runs it, and then like a bunk bed for the other counselors. I know it's all in one space. I could have made it 2 bedrooms up there. I could have, but I kind of like the idea that this was like an old house and this is just sort of how it's set up, and they just had an old bunk bed that they threw up there. That just feels more realistic to me than having it be like a 2 bedroom. It has this giant closet though. Don't ask me what I was doing when I was making this. I kind of want to just like, sometimes I'm like, let me see if I can make something new. And yes, it is cute, but like if you look closely, it is kind of a mess. So just, you know, don't look too closely. If you want to delete it, that's fine. And I'm talking about where I smush the dressers into the upper cabinets. But I do close this off. It is cute. It's like a reading nook too. So what I could have done was like make that also a separate bedroom or bathroom. Why do I always do this? I'm like, this is what I could have done. I think I was just having fun though. I built this late. I built this one late. I built this fast. I'm pretty surprised actually. I built this in 6.5 hours, which you might be like, that's a long time to build. Or you might be like, that was fast. On a lot this size with the amount of stuff that I did, I'm like, I'm not mad at that time. It's pretty impressive. For me, that is. But I also want to mention that if you're going to buy Adventure Awaits or any other Sims pack, my creator code is Koki Creative. So if you use Koki Creative at checkout, it does support me. It gives me a little tiny bit of the sale. It doesn't cost anything for you, but it does support me as a creator. And if you don't want to use my code and you have another creator that you really like and they have a code, just use somebody's code if you can, because it does help us out and it is very, very nice of you. So thank you in advance for using mine or someone else's code. So now we're in the living room of this cabin and I didn't want to do too much. I just figured it wouldn't have too much clutter because there's a lot of people in and out. Although I also thought it could be the other direction and have a ton of clutter, but this is for gameplay and I really didn't want to overwhelm with everything that's going on. You're going to constantly have at least like 12 Sims running around this lot at all times. So you're going to want to make sure that your computer/game can handle it and you can handle it and you can find your Sim in the chaos. So yeah, when I played, I always made sure the camp was super full because I just wanted to see how it would go. My counselor did sleep in the counselor's house in the bunk bed. And one of the time I actually brought the mom over too, and she was like the owner, or I can't remember the phrase that they use. And she also was there and I got to see what it was like to play that figure. And then my Sim died from laughter at camp. And then I continued working there as a ghost, which feels very like, oh, dystopian future. But yeah, she didn't have a doctor's note, apparently. No, she kept going because she's a hardworking business lady and in front of her kids too. But they had a rough time getting over that. Luckily, they had their imaginary friend to keep them company while they were dealing with the fact their mom was now a ghost. But I kind of rolled with it with gameplay because I was like, I haven't played a ghost in a while. And since Life and Death came out, there's a lot more stuff you can do as a ghost. Kind of funny because in my storyline, I actually wanted her husband to be the one that died, but he did not, even though I spent so much time climbing with him. I looked at meteors or looked through the telescope all the time. I did everything I could, and then eventually I gave up. I was like, well, if it happens, it happens. But of course it happens to my Sim that I didn't want to happen, which kind of feels like karma in a way. So anyway, this is the kitchen and I looked everywhere to put that item, that wall item, but I could not find a place to put those cute pots and pans. I thought they were cute, but Didn't end up using them in this build. I just wanted to mention that. I don't know. I think it's because I clipped out like 2 minutes of me searching for a good spot in the walls for those. And then I did clutter the shelves up a little bit. Yes, I was like, I don't really need to make this anything fancy, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to make it still look, just a little cluttered up, a little realistic. I don't know if I would call this realistic or not, but it is a small kitchen. It doesn't really need to be big. It just needs to have enough space. And honestly, while playing, I've had no issue with this size kitchen. Matter of fact, it's probably better, keeps everyone out. And this is the room Wendy laughed herself to death. Sorry, it's just that was so unexpected. I'm a seasoned player. I usually have a handle on the she got too silly. If you get hysterical, and I'm usually really good at calming my sim down in the mirror, but because I was playing my kids also, I did not realize that I let it go too far. So I don't know if you guys have ever been a victim of unexpected laughing yourself to death. When I think of summer camp, I also think of a lot of homemade crafty things that you can find around the camp. So I found a lot of these pots and plants in the debug section, and I also used this little bundle of wood. I don't know what those are called, but I know they're near water. So I also used those as just decoration around. So fun fact, I was a kid that went to summer camp for a couple of years. I did horseback riding camp and a couple of other different camps that we did activities like archery, arts and crafts, all that stuff. And I also was a camp counselor when I was 19. Yes. So I got to see both sides. I was never an owner, obviously, and I never would own a summer camp. But my mom also used to run summer dance camps, and I helped out with those as well. Those kids did not sleep overnight. When I was a counselor, I slept in the same cabin as my kids, and I had about 14-year-olds, 13 and 14-year-olds, and there was about like 12 kids in each cabin, something like that. And there were about 4 counselors per cabin. There might be even more than that now that I think about it. But yeah, there was a really big camp, and I met my husband there. So it's kind of cute. So I was a counselor, and I also taught dance and fitness, and he was the sailing instructor. I may have even played a little Sims at camp. Who knows? Because I brought my laptop, because you had to also like write to the kids' parents, just letting them know how camp was. It was a really nice camp. So they had all sorts of activities. They had horseback riding too, and sailing, and just other really cool stuff. And again, I was the dance teacher and fitness instructor. So I was busy all day. I was tired all the time. And kids, it's a lot of kids. And okay, being 13 and like 13, 14, and I was 19. So, I mean, obviously I felt much older than them, but still I was like, it's a lot of kids. So I tried to put a lot of my own personal experience with summer camps into this build, like how I would imagine everything that they needed for this camp. So this one is a lot smaller, a much, much smaller scale than both the camp that I went to as a kid and the camp that I was a counselor at, because those were big. And this one is just for 8 kids, 8 to 12. With the Sims, you kind of want to small scale big ideas anyway. So I wanted the cabins to kind of have like their own personality, because a memory I had, because it was 2012 when I was a counselor. And let me tell you, that was the year of One Direction, okay? Every kid had their favorite. Okay, not just One Direction, but a lot of other people. It was also the summer of the song Friday. It was also the summer that Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth got engaged, FYI. But anyway, the kids would bring a ton of magazines and posters and pictures from home to decorate their cabins. Even though I didn't want to clutter up these spaces too much, because I imagine your kids might bring stuff in their inventory that they want to put out while they're at camp, but I wanted to still put a little bit of clutter around and make each cabin just feel kind of realistic. I mean, obviously it's not realistic, but Sims realistic. Each color, I mean, you can see this is where I put the color in. And I didn't want to make it too obvious. Like, obviously I'm using a lot of yellow, a lot of red, a lot of blue in each of these, but it's not like glaringly so. Like, the walls are still cabin. The rugs, I tried to keep them fairly subtle. And each each of the cabin kind of has a different theme. So this one is kind of where a little bit more of the rebellious kids might be. The yellow cabin, I put the voodoo doll in there. And when I say rebellious, I don't even mean like super rebellious. They just might be into that kind of stuff. And then the blue cabin is more for like really like younger kids. This might be where, you know, they just became a child. I like to think of after they grow up from a toddler, there's like little younger, probably 5, 6, and then they go all the way to 9. So that's the age range, I think, 9, 10, 11. I don't know what age they're supposed to be when they're a teen in The Sims, because they immediately look like they're 17 or 18. Anyway, and then the red cabin is like sporty, if that makes sense. Maybe the older kids live there. Not live there, they stay there. It doesn't matter. I just, it helps me decorate sometimes when I want to individualize a space to kind of picture the Sims that would be in that space. By the way, this is not my only build that I have done for this pack. I have made another one since, and yes, I will be doing a speed build and a voiceover for that. I built that one. It was a wellness retreat in like, again, 6 hours. Again, I just sat down and I don't know what happened. Something came over me. I think it was because I haven't built in a while. I kind of took a little bit of a break, played some other games, and just had guests staying at my house for a while and just couldn't have time for games. So I think I finally had a chance to sit down, play, and I just whipped out 2 pretty big builds. So that one I will hopefully have a voiceover and a video done soon. I also want to make some more gameplay content on YouTube. I've been making a lot of short form gameplay content on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. I have been having a lot of fun with that. Sorry, I keep tripping over my words. I have so many thoughts and I cannot get them out of my mouth in time. Dang it. But I finished up this build with the counselor's house. I kept it very simple. Like I said earlier, not a ton of clutter. This is the bathroom, just a shower in there, nothing fancy. And we're nearing the end of this build in this video. So around this time, it's when I go around the rest of the house and just make sure that I have everything that I want, all the clutter that I want. And here I was changing out the light fixtures as well. Sometimes I just put the saucer as a default just so I can see. And then I switch it out with a light. That kind of makes a little bit more sense. And I was trying to use some of the new curtains that came with Adventure Awaits, but none of them looked the way I wanted it to, so I just used these green base game ones. I also put a bookshelf and a computer up here for your Sims to use. Make sure you lock the computer or else the kids come up there all the time and play on the computer. As you know, with guests as well, make sure you lock your computer. Also, these items kept snapping to the banister and it was really frustrating me. Thank you all so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day and goodbye.